Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. Guess what side of my head I slept on? The NFL is really warming us up with some intriguing free agency and draft foreplay, you know? Josh Rosen could be traded out of Arizona for a mid-round draft pick and a cheap hot tub. Kyler Murray might be the highest pick in the draft, making him and the word highest being used together for the first time in his life. And the Denver Broncos, along with the Oakland Raiders and the Cardinals again, are the top teams interested in wide receiver Antonio Brown for a trade. Well, that's according to Ian Rappaport on Twitter. Broncos reporter Mike Klis said the Broncos denied any claims to wanting to trade for Antonio Brown. So who do you believe, Mike Klis or Ian Rappaport? If you don't live in Denver, you don't know who the fuck Mike Klis is. But basically, Mike Klis is a reporter who says whatever the Broncos want him to say. So I don't know how much I would trust Mike Klis because the Broncos have no benefit from letting people know that they want to trade for Antonio Brown. But then Ian Rappaport, since he works for the NFL Network, technically works for Roger Goodell. And you can't trust any man who works for Roger Goodell. So are these rumors true? I don't know, but it looks like Nick Foles might be going to the Jags. Things are getting moist in the NFL, so let's address these rumors before some of them become fact or we learn none of them are true at all. Let's get sports. Real NFL things are happening, guys. And that gets me excited. Almost as excited as I am to announce that this episode is sponsored by Manscaped. And yes, I have a new commercial for them. One small hair on the human body. One giant discount for body hair maintenance with promo code SPORT20 at manscaped.com. Aerospace engineers got bored after they conquered outer space, so they decided to focus their brain power in a more important direction. Designing skin-safe technology that makes manscaping easy for everyone. From the lawnmower to the plow to the new out-of-this-world crop mop ball wipes, the universe is vast, which means there's probably alien life forms out there somewhere. Use Manscaped ball wipes so the alien life forms don't grow below the belt. They're also handy for polishing your space helmet. Like the parts on a spaceship, the ceramic blade on the Manscaped Lawnmower 2.0 is easily replaceable. If Tom Hanks can fix Apollo 13 without gravity, you can swap parts on your pube mower. Men, if you want to be cleared for liftoff, keep it trim and keep it fresh down there with Crop Mop Ball Wipe. Save 20% with promo code SPORT20 or my link in the description for your manscaping kit today. All right, let's start with the Broncos' interest in Antonio Brown, since I have been sparse with Broncos news lately. Some of you may say, I don't want Antonio Brown. I hate his antics. His antics. I don't want that on my team. Well, in 2012, that was the last year Antonio Brown had fewer than 100 catches for less than 1,200 receiving yards. For that kind of production, I look at antics as fun bonus material to talk about here on That's Good Sports. Now again, Ian Rappaport tweeted this, saying the Broncos were seriously interested in Brown. Also included again were the Raiders and Cardinals. Now Arizona makes sense because Larry Fitzgerald is still the best and only receiving threat on that team. In terms of scheme, the Raiders make sense because Jon Gruden might be the best coach to immediately trade Antonio Brown to the Cardinals for the first overall draft pick so they can select Kyler Murray. Talk about the ultimate scheme. And that is the other NFL rumor at the Combine, that Jon Gruden and Mike Mayock have a massive desire to make Murray a Raider. They have the draft stock, 4 picks in the top 35 to land Murray and Antonio Brown, in my opinion, especially because they could land more draft equity with the Derek Carr trade. The Raiders basically control this draft. So why have the Broncos supposedly shown an interest in Antonio Brown? Outside the fact that he's one of the best players in the NFL. Well, maybe John Elway is simply fucking with Jon Gruden, a division rival, tricking the Gruden grinder into giving up more than he should for Antonio Brown. Or maybe Elway simply thinks Antonio Brown can improve his offense and sees the Steelers as trade partners for, say, Emmanuel Sanders and a draft pick to acquire Brown. What's the biggest thing people criticize Antonio Brown for, besides having the kind of mustache that makes pedophiles uncomfortable? Oh, it said he shit on Ben Roethlisberger? What was one of the first things Emmanuel Sanders did after leaving Pittsburgh? He criticized Roethlisberger for being a shitty leader. And as crazy as Antonio Brown seems, I'm not sure all of this Steelers drama is on him. How many wide receivers have complained about Joe Flacco? 0. And not just because he never really has any on his team. His nickname is Joe Cool for a reason, and Antonio Brown and Joe Cool make sense. A lot like the way Joe Camel made sense to help sell cigarettes to kids. It's a perfect marriage. Now, do I think Antonio Brown is crazy? Crazy like a fox, baby! He's arguably still the best wide receiver in the NFL. I have no idea why anyone wouldn't be excited for their team to acquire him in a trade. Speeding, throwing shit off a balcony, throwing Roethlisberger under the bus. Again, his driving record is a fit for Denver. He can throw shit so much further in the high altitude here in Denver. So far, it would never even come close to hitting a toddler, and nobody said shit when Alan Faneca threw Big Ben under the bus. Of course, it was the actual bus, Jerome Bettis, and that was the standard practice for hazing a rookie quarterback, but still. Now, Ian Rappaport says a lot of stuff on Twitter. It's easy to say Team X has shown interest and suffer no repercussions if that's not true. But Nikki Jabala posted this article on The Athletic today titled, "John Elway Draws Lessons from His Most Successful Offseason 5 Years Ago." That was post-Seahawks Super Bowl blowout, and Elway grabbed Emmanuel Sanders, TJ Ward, DeMarcus Ware, and Aqib Talib in one offseason, which makes me think Elway is going all in. If Elway is drawing from that offseason, now that he has Joe Flacco, then Antonio Brown is piece number 2. Watch the parallels here, okay? Wide receiver, Emmanuel Sanders came over from the Steelers in 2014. Antonio Brown would fit that mold for Elway to follow. DeMarcus Ware left Dallas. DeMarcus Lawrence might be leaving Dallas now. Denver doesn't need him because they have Bradley Chubb. But the option is available for the parallels. Denver is going to let Darian Stewart test free agency, which means they may be in the market for a safety, and we know they already need a corner. They already had Peyton Manning on the roster in 2014, a quarterback who had previously beat them in the playoffs, and they had that again with Joe Flacco. History should repeat itself here. Denver should take Antonio Brown and then find their version of TJ Ward and Aqib Talib in this free agency. Possibly Bryce Callahan and Adrian Amos from the Bears. I would say Earl Thomas, as he would be a better comparison to TJ Ward, but he's 30 years old and wants $15 million a year. Or maybe he's 15 years old and wants $30 million a year. I don't know. Either way, not a good fit for the Broncos. Or maybe every rumor about Antonio Brown is false. Either way, it looks like Elway is going to make a big dick splash in free agency, and that should excite Broncos fans. Now, it's looking more and more like Nick Foles is going to the Jaguars, who appear to be the only bidder for the former Super Bowl MVP, even though they'll probably have to dump Malik Jackson and Carlos Hyde to make room for him. Not physically, salary cap-wise. This is still a team that's set up to win right now if they can get an impact rookie in the first round. From what I've read, this is the deepest defensive draft in over 50 years. Or when the word draft just meant you were going to Vietnam. I love Nick Foles going to Jacksonville, and I think he'd be great there with that defense. What I don't understand is how so many people still question whether or not Nick Foles can play quarterback. I said I'd rather have Nick Foles than Joe Flacco a few weeks ago, and you would have thought I said I would rather give Jamarcus Russell another chance than Joe Flacco. Foles is 4-2 in the postseason, completed 72% of his passes during the Super Bowl run, and put together one of the best QB performances in the Super Bowl I can remember. He brought the Eagles back from dead last season, and even though his sample size is weird, with his NFL career, I think he'll be great in a pretty good situation like the one Jacksonville has to offer. Now, we still have the ongoing Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen, Cliff Kingsbury love triangle to keep an eye on. There have been a ton of conflicting reports out there. Some people are saying the Cardinals are set on Kyler Murray with the number 1 pick. Others are saying that Arizona has privately told Josh Rosen that he's their quarterback. If they do decide to take Murray, and this isn't just a smokescreen, one destination that makes a lot of sense would be the Washington Redskin Potatoes. As I showed in the last video about Rosen and Murray, Rosen clearly has a firm grasp on politics and the economy, making him a great fit for Washington, D.C.
Money!
Thus came George Bush's accusations of the Taliban having WMDs.
Also, having 2 non-broken legs makes him an ideal quarterback in Washington. Now, to bring this thing around full circle, if Josh Rosen stays in Arizona, I think he would greatly benefit from having, yes, Antonio Brown on the roster with Larry Fitzgerald to hopefully keep AB grounded. If he can't, then Josh Rosen will be dealing with the stupid devil and angel on each shoulder whispering into his ear like we've seen 1,000 times on TV. Except he'll have to listen to that every single play of the game. Fitzgerald is the angel there, in case you're an idiot. If Arizona is set on Rosen and Gruden is in love with Kyler Murray, then Murray to Oak Vegas at 4 in the draft is a real possibility. The Cardinals could be showing interest in Murray to convince the Raiders to swap spots with them in the draft and force Gruden to take Murray at number 1. All rumors at this point, but AB and Kyler Murray are making this offseason and draft about 100 times more interesting than I thought it would be. So we'll see what happens, but right now it is fun to conjecture. Just conjecturing the shit out of the NFL. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. If you're looking for those body pubers, don't forget to check out Manscaped. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna, if you care to follow me there. And yes, the AAF recap video will be up soon. I'm a little behind today, trying to catch up.